Hello, bonjour, hola. Guys, jump in whenever you like with some greetings uh,
Hello,
from wherever
Buenos
you are in
dias.
the
bonjour.
world. Welcome. Thank you for being with us. It's been a while since we've done one of these, and I think we are missing one another in the flesh. We are no longer sitting in the same office, so it may be a little different from what you're used to if you've been with us previously. If not, we hope that we can be of assistance in some knowledge. Okay, so
For sure.
I am just going to bring our slide up here, and we can start to introduce ourselves.
Perfect. I think it's me, isn't it?
Yes, could you take us
The
through
last
our
time we
agenda?
checked.
Go for it, Adrian. Go for it.
Oh, I'm first. Sorry. No, Desiree, you doing it. You have to do the agenda and things.
Okay, so today we're just going to take you through a little bit about Holborn and each one of us as individual advisors. Adrian will take us through the best programs in Europe, and offerings. I will
There's the
take
slides
us.
aren't moving. Let's double
Oh,
check that.
okay, cool. Odia, I will take us through the Caribbean and Andrew will take us to USA. Adrian, over to you.
Perfect. I'm just looking because I don't see a slide, but maybe that's me. Anyway, you don't need the slide on what I look like because I'm doing the intro on myself. Um, well, I wouldn't say welcome. Well, we've already said welcome, everyone, but just to give you a couple of minutes on background on myself, I'm a certified financial planner by trade, and I run the Mauritius office and work with Desiree and Andrew. I've been in the industry about 25 years or so, and I've been in managing high net worth individuals for about the last 10 to 15 years in a planning capacity, and really just assisting clients with, um, in this particular instance, the niche global mobility and tax mitigation is the word. But from my perspective, help the clients see what they need, whether or not it be investments. And today's webinar is about a passport, a plan B, being globally mobile and being able to just essentially do the best that you can for yourself and possibly for future generations. And I'll touch on the Portugal program a little bit later. That's me.
Fantastic. Thanks, Adrian. Andrew, over to you, please.
Hi, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. I'm Andrew Hopkins, international wealth advisor based in Mauritius, but unfortunately not on the beach today. I think I've had my own share of global mobility. I'm from the UK originally, but I've worked in Spain, in Gibraltar, in Ghana, in Nigeria, and now eventually found my way down to Mauritius. I'm helping my clients with holistic financial planning, high net worth individuals, and that includes quite often a discussion about citizenship and residency. So looking forward to talking to you a bit later about the opportunities in the US and answering any questions that come along at the end.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Andrew. Okay, so a little bit on myself. I'm a born and bred Zimbabwean, originally based back home, covering sort of Southern and Eastern Africa. Then was based in West Africa, covering West and Central. And then about 8 years ago, I moved to Mauritius and started working with this lovely bunch. Um, where, we can help our clients wherever they are in the world. I think that the reason for us doing this today is because there's been so many changes within the framework of citizenship and residency over the last even 6 months.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to share those with you today. answer any questions that you may have. And if you need us, you know where we are. All right. So a little bit on Holborn. We are the second largest independent financial advisory firm globally. 18 international offices established in 1998, clients in over 30 countries, and it should be just under $3 billion of assets under management. Sorry, my fault when I was putting the slides together. Okay.
Des, sorry to
How,
interrupt, but the slides aren't moving
can you
on
see
the
that?
presentation. We're still on our disclaimer slide, unless it's just me. Andrew, how are you seeing it?
Can you see that?
I can just see the disclaimer.
Yep.
This is quite interesting. Let me see what I can do about that. Bear with. Apologies,
Yeah,
technical difficulties.
that's it. Try
Technical
again.
difficulties from the office.
Kick the AI bot out.
Oh no.
Oh,
Okay.
Do you want me to put it up, Des? Are you having a battle? Because I'm a
Yeah, please.
co-host, so let me
I
try.
think it could be
Let me try.
connection.
Cool, let me try.
Thank you. Sorry, ladies and gents. Little bit of a technical issue here.
Is it moving now?
yeah.
Yay! Well done.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I
Okay.
think you were there, and then I'll do my best. If I don't move it fast enough, just tell me to move on.
Okay, move on, Adrian.
Cool.
Okay. So as you can see, we have won several awards. These aren't even the latest of them, but what really makes us different is our size, independence, service, safety and security, and each of us, our education. Okay, so I think next what we will talk about is the actual citizenship and residency opportunities. So, I mean, we've seen significant growth in citizenship and residency over the last even 5, 6 years. I mean, in 2018, that was sitting at only $18 billion. But there is need, when everything changed with COVID, everybody wanted to be able to move around. And then there's those of us who may have weaker passports, who have a desire to travel or even perhaps create that legacy. So I think what we will do is just take you through some of those options. Adrian, if you could take us to the next slide, please. Okay, cool. So we won't go through each one in
Very
detail.
busy slide.
Very,
We're not
very
going
busy
through the slide
slide.
while on.
No, we won't go through each one in detail, but please feel free to reach out to your advisor to speak about each one in more depth if the need arises. I think, Adrian, if you could kick us off with, I think you're 2 slides ahead and the benefits of the EU passport, please.
Perfect. Yeah, I think what I'll do is I'll leave it on the residency program here just to give the preface into it. There's been a lot of talk around Europe around the changes. Des, I think you'll talk later about what the European Union are doing around Caribbean passports.
Yes.
And the travel, I think, unfortunately, the travel or the passport and citizen residency by investment industry has been unfairly, politically unfairly, I don't know about targeted, but certainly it's been used as excuse in the space when it's got actually nothing to do with the residency and investment. Because in this space, and as we know, and our clients and the clients that we deal with and help with these programs, they're actually doing an investment into the country. They're not people who are desperately looking for a job or anything like that. So from an EU perspective, and I will go to that slide, the passport, if you get one in the EU, this is genuinely what does apply. You can go and live and work in any of the countries in the EU, and depending on which European passport country you get visa-free travel to really a high number of the other countries in the world. I'll be talking about the Portuguese Golden Visa program, and it is I wouldn't say it's the baby or the first one, but it started in 2012, and from a global perspective, it's probably got in the European space, it's probably got the best reputation as far as a program goes. And initially in 2012, it was designed to attract foreign direct investment in Portugal, and to date, the program it's on its own, I think it has topped the 6 billion euro mark. So we're looking at a significant amount of money that has been raised by the Portuguese Golden Visa program. And then, as with anything, a lot of the stuff gets negative press and those type of things. And over the last 18, 24 months, Portugal itself has had a very some very distinct changes. So initially, when it started, you used to be able to invest directly in property to a certain amount, and you could buy an actual property in Portugal, which was really nice for a lot of people who wanted to get access to the Golden Visa. A lot of noise has been made since COVID, and with a lot of the migrant movements across Europe. The socialist government in Portugal then started saying that the price for rentals and all of those type of things have been going up because foreigners are buying the properties. And the Golden Visa program got unfairly tarred with that type of rhetoric because the amount of people that actually are on the program in a physical number are not into the 100 and 200 and millions of people. The program is very niche. It probably has only had about, well, it shows you there, about 10,000 visa applications approved, and only about 30,000 people are on the programs. But as far as the program goes, it's still the best program available, in my opinion, from a long-term citizenship perspective. So how it does is it starts out as a residence permit for the first 5 years. What the client or what you would need to do is you do still need to make a direct investment into the economy. And the way you do that is various ways. There's €1.5 million into government bonds. There's an art angle, all of those type of things. But we've been doing this program for now about 8 years, and we really have got the formula worked out in inverted commas, and we offer the residency and investment. And the minimum investment, sorry, by the way, the minimum investments have been going up and down and all over the place, but essentially the minimum investment now has been pegged at €500,000. And a lot of that talk and the raising of the minimum amount of investment, the reason it's been raising is, again, as I said to you earlier, about the fact that the perception is that people are coming into these programs are going to be flooding Portugal, but that's not the case at all. So it's €500,000, and we have some partners in the space. Previously, we used to offer direct investment into property via our partners on the ground. And what we have now is that you have an investment into, and that's another requirement of the Portuguese Golden Visa being issued, is that you actually invest in a company inside Portugal for the value of the €500,000. So essentially, you need to subscribe to the units in a company for €500,000. And what you do in the subscription and with the partners that we do, they're called Navigator, and they run a whole lot of hotels. And you subscribe to the fund, and the fund issues you a unit for €500,000. The real big plus is we're working with them as partners. The underlying investment is into a hotel group that runs and services hotels. So there is ongoing returns with bookings and people staying in the hotel and those type of things. And the real bonus is we're the only ones that do this. The client on investing gets back a guaranteed €101,000 upfront return on their investment. So that's pretty good. The actual cost from a cash flow perspective then is it's only €399,000, and that is the most cost-effective pricing that you can get. There are other providers and other IFA firms dealing with the Portuguese program, but they can only offer it at the 500,000 euro mark. Ours is a very unique and proprietary offering. The 101,000 that you receive now upfront is returned to you. So I'll go quickly into the process. You make this investment into the Golden Visa program. You get issued with your with a request to fund or pay money into the fund. The fund then issues you a certificate that you've subscribed. Once you've been issued with that certificate, you are then put into the queue to receive your biometrics, and the application is then forwarded to AIMA, which is the Passport and Immigration Office in Portugal, and you then come to Portugal for your biometrics as the main applicant, and the family's biometrics get approved sometime after that. We've been having a lot of clients ask, but that means we have to travel twice to Portugal in a short space of time. Yes, that used to be the case in effect, but fortunately, what we're seeing now, and I can speak from experience, I've got a client that signed into the program in April of this year. He got his Portuguese biometric meeting, and our experience has been that the family gets it 3 to 4 months later. But I'd already spoken to him, and he was already well aware that that may have to happen. And we were very fortunate. Pax Legal, who we work with directly, they came back to us and they said, AIMA is now seeing that they don't want the families to travel apart. And which is just fantastic for us, the family actually got the appointment on exactly the same day. It's 2 different passport offices, so we'll have to just handle that logistics, but they're only about 30 minutes apart from a drive perspective, so the family can handle that rather than 2 things. I could go for the whole 2 hours on it, the whole hour on it. But what I'll do is I'll just touch on a few other things. Why Portugal as well? One of the main things that Portugal, or why it's so attractive to a lot of global citizens, is they have what we call the lowest minimum stay day requirements for a passport. And I think Des and Andrew will also touch on that, on how long you have to stay in the country in order to keep the golden visa or keep on a path towards citizenship. Portugal have a very, very low stay day requirement. So you only need to stay 14 days in every rolling 2 years. So essentially the 35 days in the first 5 years. And you are not required to be on the ground for any other time. So this client particularly that I talked about, it's great for him. He goes the first time for his biometrics. And if you time it correctly, if he stays for 3 weeks, he can fulfill the first requirement, which is 7 days in the first year. And then it's 14 days in the following 2. So what he's going to do is they're going to stay for 3 weeks, and essentially and it's a 3-week holiday, which is great. They've planned it already. And in those 3 weeks, he'll fulfill 3 years worth of minimum stay requirements, if everyone got my processing there. So that's really good. But the bottom line is it's a very, very low amount of days that you actually physically need to stay. Most other programs that lead to citizenship, you need to be permanently in the country. The other thing with Portugal is obviously you have access and full access to Portugal as a citizen. So the healthcare is free, the schooling is free. It's really one of the best programs. Well, the only one that is now left where there's a path to citizenship. And then very quickly, to just finish it off, the end of the 5 years of the golden visa, the first permanent residency period, you apply for the golden visa period, you apply for permanent residency. Once permanent residency is issued to you, which is it's merely a formality, it's filling out forms. There's no other additional things that need to happen at that stage. It's really just filling in another form. Once the permanent residency is granted, you actually get also returned the 500,000 euro that you originally invested. Well, let me recheck that with you. It's actually only 400 you put in at the beginning. You get 500 back in 5 years. So you make another return on your investment. So it's a really solid golden visa program. And then the other cherry on the cake is with our partners, because they run this hotel group, you get 3 weeks per year to stay in any one of the hotels included in the investment. So that's a really nice, nice added a tidbit, if you like. So that's the Portuguese program. I don't know, guys, if I've missed anything key, or you think I should touch on any other stuff. You guys also know the program well, but I think that's pretty much it.
I don't think so. I think that you've touched on all of the most important parts, specifically the fact that it is still one of the most attractive programs because of the minimum stay requirement, and the accessibility throughout Europe. I mean,
Yep.
that's incredible.
Yeah, the Schengen visa, I didn't touch on that, sorry, but yeah, obviously you've got a Portuguese nationality card, so it's visa-free travel throughout the Europe.
Yeah,
You can go anywhere in Europe, no
throughout the
problem.
Schengen region. Yeah.
Yeah, correct.
Could I just ask you to touch on the significant changes that we've seen within that program, within the last sort of 6 to 12 months, please, Adrian?
Yeah,
With
I think it's an important one, because I think when clients go and do some research, they're going to see a lot of clickbait around it. And the premise around the entire thing is really around owning the property directly in Portugal. So the program was very strong on just being able to invest, and it was a minimum amount. You could refurb a property that you only bought for 250,000 euros. Or you could have a commercial property for 380,000 euros. So the number was considerably lower than the 500 we have at the moment. Over the last 12 to 18 months, Portugal have been through a few governments, and within the governments, there's been a strong rhetoric around foreigners buying property in Portugal and it driving the cost of living up. So what's happened is part of the legislation has been a change for the Golden Visa program as well. You used to be able to apply for a Golden Visa and then get citizenship. Sorry, and I should have said this, the path to citizenship. So 12 to 18 months ago, you could apply for the Golden Visa. At the end of the 5-year Golden Visa period, you could then apply for citizenship and receive your citizenship in year 6, sometime in year 6 or early year 7. What's happened now is, with all of this around the voting, in May of this year, they've extended the application, or the first time you can apply for citizenship, to year 10. So that's the significant difference that you've seen, and when you look around, you'll see that it's around. From my perspective, and again, talking to my client and my client investing in it in May of this year, they don't want to go to Portugal. Sorry, they are not looking at it from a needing to go and live and work anywhere else in Europe. The interesting thing is Portugal as a place to live and stay. They've got young children, is absolutely fitting with the bill on their plan B. So what they are going to do, and this throughout the 10-year period, the Golden Visa period and the permanent residency period, I did touch on that. You are allowed to live and work in Portugal as if you're a Portuguese national. So once they've finished their biometric process, the youngest child is at primary school. Once they move to secondary school, which is about 2 years' time, they're going to go to Europe and live there, and they fully understand that they need to be there, and the children need to be there, and will then apply for the citizenship in year 10. And a very quick one, everyone talks about what else the requirement for the citizenship. There is a language requirement. In the Portuguese space, it's very simple. It's actually just an online course that you need to do, and you get the certificate at the end of the online course. Can you sit on the online course and just click through slides? No, you can't. You do definitely need to do some work around learning basic Portuguese, but it's not a B2. B2 is essentially you need to speak, read, and write the language to a university level. This is an A1, I think it's A1 or A2, and really it's just conversational Portuguese, so it's not that onerous. But for this client in particular, they're going to have been living there 7 years. I mean, I think the children will be fully fluent in Portuguese by the time they apply for their passport.
To jump in there, I've watched my children in particular, just being in Spain for the last, call it 18 months, and they are fully fluent in the language. I'm able to converse, and I didn't really know much other than hola, So I think that it is very, very possible to pick it up and to run with it.
Yeah.
Um,
The key thing is you just need to learn how to order a beer. So, dos cerveza, por favor. There we go. I'll give it to you. It's the cheat sheet for Portugal. That's it.
Beer, Bond beer.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, Adrian, could I
Cool.
just ask you to touch on the significant differences between the main sort of European residency and citizenship opportunities? Because as we know, Portugal isn't the only one. Yes,
Mm,
it is
mm.
the strongest one.
Yeah,
And I think we all do agree with that because of the fact
yeah,
that there is that sort of very low stay requirement,
yeah.
and they are all more or less on the same timelines now, so to
Correct.
speak.
Correct. Yeah, yeah.
But if you could speak around that, please.
Yeah, there are the two other slides is sort of what's very popular and especially well, it's very popular. Italy's a absolutely what's the word? It's an aspirational city, a country to go to live in, to visit. Um, you know, the Leonardo da Vinci Airport in Venice has 25 million people arrive a year. I mean, it's as we all know, La Dolce Vita, um, where pizza, pasta, you name it. And really, what we're finding, and we have a program that that we have, and we can offer, and we can talk about from an Italy perspective. It's lower. It's down at the 250,000 euro mark. The key difference around that, and where I'm finding that the Italian residency works well, is for people who are not too concerned about the passport in the future. So I suppose that's the easiest way to talk it. And it's very strong American or my older clients or older prospective clients that are nearing retirement or wanting to retire. Children are out of the house, and Europe is just obviously such a great place to go and retire. This Italian golden visa, yeah, it's a golden visa. The Italian program that we've got just fits it really nicely. I'm going to skip to ahead. But essentially, you get to live, not work. You get to live in Italy, and you basically in Italy as a full citizen, and get access to the healthcare, all of those type of things that the Portuguese program has. But there's no, what's the word? It does lead to the citizenship, except then this minimum stay day that we talk about starts kicking in. It is also a 10-year window to get the citizenship. It's a B2 language, so you really do need to know Italian very well to get it. And the next thing is, in the run up to those 10 years, it's for all 10 years before you apply, you need to spend a majority of your time in Italy. So that's the key reason that from a passport perspective or long-term passport perspective, it doesn't fit with certain families. So we did discuss it with our client that I told you that took Portugal. We did discuss Italy, doesn't fit his plan. They, from a plan B perspective, they're looking for an alternative citizenship at some time in the future. So that's the Italian side. It's 250,000. It's into a startup. Just very quickly to touch on that, we've got another partner that we're working with there. It's actually not 250,000 into the actual startup because everyone worries about whether they get their money back. But we've structured a deal with them where 25% of the money, it is a startup venture cap firm that's been set up, but within that venture cap firm, only 25% of the 250 will be allocated to the venture cap side. The other 75% of a client's money is going to go into cash, bonds, and blue chip equities. And what will happen is the money is locked for the 5 years. You can't have access to the money. And at the end of the 5 years, that 75% should more or less have returned the 25% that was put at risk. And at the end of 5 years, if they do, for whatever reason, don't like Italy, went there, stayed there, anything like that, in year 6, they can ask for their 250,000 euros to be paid back to them. So it's nice and clean. I've got a lot of American clients. It's almost a no-brainer for an American client who wants to retire. So that's a very strong program. From France, I'll quickly touch on that. Also, they have a residency program investing again in direct investment into an eligible French company. This is also from a residency perspective. You might like France, vive la France, and you want to go and stay and live in France. So the same scenario, 300,000 into one of our partners, direct investments into the company, and then that gives you access to France, fully staying there as a French resident, all of those type of things. Schengen free travel, the Italian is the same. All of them, you have a national identity card essentially issued for that country, and that gives you the Schengen free travel. And then after 5 years in the France scenario, you can go through the process of applying for citizenship. The hurdle there is actually much higher. The language proficiency is very tough. It's fully conversational. It's not an online test. It's in an office with the consultant that you get allocated by the Home Affairs Department, essentially. And you go into this meeting, and when I say it's not a test, it's conversational French. You have to learn French history. And this consultant, when they come in, will talk to you. And obviously they're wanting to see whether or not you've Frenchified yourself enough, is the way to say it. As that's how the program does go. But yes, it can also need the French passport and the nationality. They also have the minimum stay day. In order to apply for that, you have to be a tax resident in France to apply for the nationality. So by quid pro quo, you have to spend 182 days per year to keep your tax residency in France. So essentially, you pretty much, and also in that nationality test, they do look, obviously, are your children in France? Is your family in France? Are you actually wanting to become a French citizen? So those are the kind of things there. And those are the two that are the most popular that we do have access to. But please, as I said, I could take the whole thing just doing Europe. Please get hold of one of us. If there's something else, we have a couple of the other programs that you might see. Malta, we have Latvia, but really from a golden visa into citizenship, the French, the Italian, and the Portuguese are definitely the best way to go. And I've talked too much now. Someone else must talk.
I feel so bad for you. You look like you need some water now. Thank you. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
Very well done. Okay, cool. I will take it for Caribbean. And I think, when we sort of speak to clients around the Caribbean sort of citizenships, it's generally more for freedom of movement. So travel is a big one when considering the Caribbean passports. But also, there could be a desire for children to study at one of the Caribbean universities. That has been quite a significant one that we have seen in the past. And I think, they are still very popular because of the time leading to the actual citizenship, And again, there is still the no stay requirement for most of them. That is looking like it will potentially change within the next few months. And I think you did touch on this earlier, Adrian, especially because of the sort of stringent rules that the EU and UK and the US are putting on the Caribbean programs by way of due diligence and compliance, etc. These programs, have been very, very popular for a very long time. And I think one of them is the oldest programs in existence. So, we've just got to, when we sit down with our clients, we really do find what suits them best. So for some of our clients, they don't necessarily want a Portugal or a France or Italy. That is more as a legacy route where you want to benefit from actually living in the EU, etc. Whereas if you're wanting just the freedom of movement, we generally recommend the Caribbeans. Okay, so I think I will touch on St. Kitts and Nevis. It is one of the more popular programs now. In the past, we saw it sort of being pushed by the wayside, but this one now is very popular. And it's because of the fact that it is generally very, very quick. We
Yeah.
have had answers, or approvals rather, for clients in 120 days, 60 to
Yep.
120 days,
Yep.
which is brilliant. What I will say again, these programs have all shifted and changed a lot in the last 18, 24 months. So again, with the Caribbean passports, they were asked to increase their minimum investment as the CARICOM
Yep.
nations, they came together. And where before we were looking at potentially 100 to 150,000 donation, or generally donations for the Caribbeans. Now that has essentially doubled. So for the St. Kitts and Nevis program, which I'll specifically touch on, there is a lot of attractiveness. What I will touch on is that there are certain nationalities which they are not allowing. But what we have is we have the donation options, we have housing options, and then we've got the traditional sort of real estate route where one would own a home. That is significantly different to the housing option, for example, where you would sort of have a minimum of 6 years. Please correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in holding the investment.
Yep. 6, 7,
Yeah.
it depends. Sorry.
Yeah.
That was bad use of youth terminology at the
Oh
moment.
no,
6 to 7
7.
years.
Okay. All right. I will also just touch on, I think St. Kitts and Nevis has visa-free access to actually 157, guys. Am I right?
Yep.
157 countries.
Think so. That the slide's a little update, but yeah, I think it's around up there.
Okay. And because again, the EU and UK are clamping down again on specifically the Caribbean passport holders, where a lot of UK access has fallen away. St. Kitts and Antigua still is the possibility to apply for an e-visa, so it isn't your traditional visa application, it is the e-visa. Okay.
And I think the main one, like you touched on, Des, is the time. You have some clients with a time frame, especially a lot of our African clients. They may win a big business contract or something like that in Europe, and for the future need access and travel around Europe, and need to be there within a year to sort of see everyone. This program is that quick. It can be done
Exactly.
within
If you
3 to 4
recall, there
months.
was one of my clients who actually, this was sort of perfect for him because of his business dealings across Europe and UK, etc. And it just fit because of the time frame that it would take for him to actually get his passport, and all of that. There was a significant, what I will say, significant backlog, but that has
Mm.
been worked through quite a lot. Some
Yep.
of the Caribbean programs are still experiencing a backlog, but we've not noticed a problem with the St. Kitts and Nevis. Sorry, Adrian, you keep wanting to skip to Antigua. You can now.
Okay, sorry.
Thanks. No, it's cool. Thank you. What I would like to highlight with Antigua, very, very similar to St. Kitts and Nevis in terms of time frame, in terms of sort of investment options. What I would say is that in terms of investment, we are finding that if, our clients have the funds, it is the best return on investment. In terms of Antigua, we do have exclusive projects that we work with again as well in the Caribbean countries. And specifically, we have one which is a business investment, which is 400,000. And then there are processing fees on top of that. But what I would say is that almost within the first 2 weeks after the investment, the client does get 250,000 of that back. So yes, significantly higher than they once were, but the benefits are unchanged. I think, again, Antigua, we're not seeing a lot of issues in terms of processing or anything like that. They do allow the dual citizenship and everything like that. And there is visa-free access to 154 countries, if I'm not mistaken. Again, we are seeing, I think it is now a requirement to go and do your biometrics, specifically now for
Yeah,
Antigua.
that's coming. Yeah, a few. That's one of the European sort of requirements is they don't want a virtual passport. But the way I say
Exactly.
to clients, hey man, who wouldn't want to go on holiday to the Caribbean?
Right?
But
I wouldn't mind. The music, the food,
100%.
the beaches. Lovely.
if someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. You're absolutely right, Andrew. Um, okay, so what I will say is that we still do cover the other Caribbean passports, sort of St. Lucia. I'm trying to think which ones I've not mentioned. I've mentioned Antigua, Barbuda,
I've,
Grenada.
yeah, I've done a Grenada, also very good. Good processing times, good,
They're all.
yeah, all of them, I think they fit around that. The Grenada one was my client had his wife was Chinese, so it's a good fit for that.
Yeah.
Grenada, and those type of things. But yeah, to speak to Des, we'll find the best fit for you
Any
quite easy.
any of us really. But yeah, thank you. I think I've covered everything on the Caribbean skies. Do you feel that I've missed anything?
No, you're good.
Good.
Okay. Shall we ask Andrew to do some talking now?
The American dream, here it comes.
Boom.
Excellent. Well, now that everybody's vacated America to go to Portugal or Italy, let's start. We've got to find a way of replacing them. So let's start with the word everybody's heard about, but nobody actually really understands, and that's green card. It got its name unsurprisingly because it was green when it was launched in 1946. It's been a few different colours since then, but it's now back to green. But the colour isn't the point. What it actually is permanent resident, 10 years, renewable. It covers you, your spouse, your children under 21, all on one application. Your spouse can work, any job, any employer. Your children can go to school and university as residents, not international students. which in most states is a fraction of the cost. And after 5 years, you can apply for citizenship. That last part is the one that changes families. It isn't really about you, it's about a child who grows up with a US passport and every option that comes with it. So I'm going to walk you through the route that gets you there without needing capital or a degree, the employment-based EB3. I'll be straight with you and tell you who it's for, what it costs, how long it takes, not the marketing version, and what's happening right now. And then right at the end, I'll touch briefly on the investor route, which is called EB5, for the smaller number of you who may have capital rather than time. So EB3, Holborn has been very active in this market, has processed a significant number of applicants through employment-based US residents. We only work with vetted US employers, and we currently have 2 opportunities, one in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and one in San Bernardino, California, which apparently is about 60 miles from LA. Let me tell you what the job is, because I'd rather lose your interest in the next 10 seconds than waste your money. The role is a production helper. This is factory and warehouse work. The wage starts around $30,000 US a year. There's no degree requirement, no capital requirement, and there's no pretending it's something that it isn't. You would be going to the United States to do some entry-level work. So who is the route for? It's for the person aged 30 to 45 who is happy to do some hard work, because at the end of it, their children are American residents with in-state university fees and a citizenship application in hand. Or it's for the ambitious individual or couple who want to establish themselves in the US and create a dynamic future for themselves. If those sentences describe you, this is one of the few realistic doors open to you, and it's a legitimate statutory one. If you're a senior professional and the idea of a production line is unthinkable to you, this is not your route, and I'll say so on a call rather than take your money. But stay with me after the presentation, because the investor route could be yours. Let me also say 2 other things. I've processed cases for families where one spouse is more than happy to take the production job so the other can continue with a professional career or run a business. And I think secondly, this job is not for life. After a sensible period, it's possible to seek alternative, more relevant employment and to relocate to other parts of the state. How much does it cost? I'll be precise. The cost for a single applicant is $49,500. It's paid in 3 tranches, not upfront. So $20,000 on signing, $19,500 when the labour certificate is approved, which takes roughly a year, and $10,000 on approval of the petition. For a family, the incremental cost of adding a spouse and children is modest relative to the first applicant, and we can happily provide quotes when we know the exact number of applicants. So what's the timeline? The sequence is sign and on board week 1, prepare documents and an introduction video for the employer week 2, submit your labour certificate application, which hopefully is approved within 12 months, then the immigration application, then the consular interview, then relocation. This visa category is capped at 10,000 places a year for the entire world, and every family member counts as one. So the queue is now quite considerable. So the honest planning assumption from a standing start is probably 3 to 4 years minimum, with the variable being the queue, not the paperwork. And anybody who quotes you a 2-year time frame is probably giving you an unrealistic time scale. So this might sound like a reason to wait, but actually it's exactly the opposite. And here's the reason why. The cap is fixed, demand is rising, the queue does not get shorter while you think about it, it gets longer. Your place in it only exists from the day your application is filed.
Yep.
Now, there are a couple of blocks that I need to talk to you about now. Since January this year, the US has been running 2 restrictions. A presidential proclamation suspending immigrant visas for nationals from a long list of countries, and a separate State Department measure which has paused immigrant visa issuing at consulates for nationals of around 75 countries. A US federal court has actually challenged this as being unlawful, but no decision at the moment. So what does it mean practically? The block sits at the final step, the step you're going to reach years from now. Applications are still being filed and approved. Places in the queue are still being established and held. This is a vetting review, not a change in the law. And one important, very important thing to point out and blow our own trumpet a little is Holborn has a 100% success rate on EB3.
Yep.
So let's move on. For those with capital, we've got another EB, EB5. The investor route actually asks for $800,000 into a qualifying US project, rural or high unemployment status. So, no employer, no job, no degree, no age limit. 2 things make it worth your attention. First of all, there's currently no queue at all. The reserved categories for rural and high unemployment projects are available to everyone globally, including India and China, where other routes are closed. There's only one caveat, which is that capital can genuinely be at risk and repaid over years, not on demand. So this is an investment decision before an immigration decision. And that part is precisely our professional territory. So at Holborn, we've worked closely with a company to develop a rural scheme in Texas, and the signs are really good. Dividend returns, return of original capital with profit over a 5-year period. So just bringing this all together and finishing off, EB3 isn't fast, and I'm not going to tell you it is. 3 to 4 years from a standing start is the honest planning assumption. But the reason to move now isn't height. It's that the queue will only get longer while you wait, and your place in it only exists from the day your file goes in. Every month you don't file is a month someone else takes your place in the queue. So if you're interested, talk to one of us. Let's decide if it's the right route for you, and if it is, let's get started. That's me.
Thank you, Andrew. That was so eloquent. Trust you. That was wonderful.
I am eloquent, yes.
I know. I'd like to just
Oh, we lost Des as she was going to close out for us.
Yeah, just on the questions, yeah.
I think there were questions. I don't know. Yeah, let's see if there are any that were done and whether people answered them. I'm not sure.
Can you
Our
access them, Adrian?
mission control might be able to. Let me see if I can. I'll just have to stop the share for now so I can just have a look. Let me have a look and just see. No, I can't. And we've lost Des. Shame. So her connection must have been done. I can't get that. But what we'll do is, Andrea, let's just finish off by saying thanks to everyone. We will reach out. We know everyone who is on the program. We'll share the results of the poll with them, and again finish off and just say thank you for making the time to listen to us. We hope you found it useful, and please don't hesitate to reach out to any one of us for help on the program. We look forward to hosting you on another one in the near future. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks for coming. Thanks, Adrian.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Au revoir.
Bye.